heard some amazing stories of people making money on wine, cars, watches. I have literally never heard tell a story of making a ton of money on a diamond, ever.
The one thing the jewelers have, and this is what people, the natural people, is that we just don't know the value in the future.
Welcome everybody to Blueprint for Closers. Dominick Ciccarelli with my co-host Rob Nixon. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. We got our very good friend Cory Schifter here from Casal Jewelers.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for coming in today. Been a lot of talk lately about the jewelry business. You've recently changed how you operate your business. There's also a big conversation about natural diamonds compared to lab diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. So we have a lot of questions about that today. Why don't we start by just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and how you got into the jewelry business.
Very cool. So thanks, guys. So I grew up in Staten Island pretty much. I was transferred from Queens to Brooklyn, mostly Staten Island. And my father drove a taxi cab for most of my life up to the point where I was 11 years old. And 1986 was a good year for our family and for the Mets, the only year that I can remember for the Mets that they won something. But that was the year my dad decided to sell his taxi medallion and go into the jewelry business. He started with a flea market type thing. It was called Independent Jewelers Market. It was right next door to Cafe Luna on Highland Boulevard, down the block from Royal Crown. And he started renting out booths. And it was interesting. It was an interesting time for our family because he had to give everything he had to working throughout the day when he used to drive the taxi at night throughout the city. And we used to drive with him, and it was cool. Like, I mean, imagine driving in the taxi cab, no seatbelt, front seat, 10 years old, people smoking everything under the glass, right? And Marlboros like everywhere, right? Filled with smoke. And then you have in the 80s, the city was a little crazy, right? I mean, people come in squeegeeing your windows, punching the windshield, and they didn't get $1, right? So like it was an interesting time as a kid and something I'll never forget. But you know, the transition of him now working throughout the day, throughout the night to build a business, we didn't get to see him much. So I spent more time with my grandmother. So I became the Mets fan, and it was a journey for him, and it was difficult, but at the same time rewarding because my mom got into the business, and then I started to go and help as I got older a little bit more, and just really learned what it took to run a business, but also how to really speak to a customer and appreciate a customer. And everybody who walked through the door, they welcomed, you know, like it was like the cheers of jewelry stores, which was kind of cool.
At that time, actually, what type of product was you selling at the flea market?
It was everything. So the booth process was interesting because people would rent out booths like an exchange, but it was smaller. So it became very competitive, and people started arguing, and things didn't work out as smooth as you would have liked. And that's when my mom had come into the business. And it was your full service jewelry store, everything from crosses and chains back then. You know, the Playboy thing, charms, remember those things, right? With the name on them, right? Double heart rings were popular, but anything and everything, you know, they were able to sell, and people appreciated them for always just going out of their way to make them happy. And that's something I always remembered.
At what point did he actually open up a brick and mortar?
That was in early 90s.
Okay.
He spent 5 years kind of doing the flea market idea kind of thing where, you know, he collected rent, and then everybody kind of scattered and did their own thing. And at that point, he asked everybody to leave, and they all went and did their thing. And he went on his own with my mom. So now the two of them were there. So it was interesting. Even back then, I used to call taxi cabs by myself at like 15 years old and take cabs to baseball games by myself, right? So it was a different vibe back then. Right. Nowadays, I'm not throwing a cab, my 11-year-old and 12-year-old in a cab by themselves, right? But nowadays, it's much different from what it was back then. And it was fun. It was fun to watch them. It was fun to be at work and help wherever I could. Right. And learn how to be a businessman. That's kind of where I started.
I'm sure because he was in the taxi business, they felt much more comfortable about putting you in a taxi as opposed to, like, I wouldn't, you know, my parents would probably never do that either, but I guess they felt a little more comfortable because they knew the business and they, you know, were in it doing it every day. They didn't realize, you know.
It was interesting. Like, listen, a yellow cab filled with smoke sitting in the front seat with no seatbelt is very is alarming, but at the same time, my father would have did serious jail time if that would happen today, you know. But at the same time, it was one of those yellow cabs that you would see hopping around the city that don't really exist much anymore. Right? Yeah. Things change so much with technology and with Uber and Lyft and all those other things. So, but overall, listen, it was a blessing to watch him grow the business and at the same time now be involved myself,
right?
Which is awesome.
So flea market, brick and mortar, now your new location, which anyone listening to this podcast right now might be saying, okay, well, where's the correlation? This is real estate based focus, real estate focused podcast, which coming off from a couple episodes ago that we did about from another jeweler about Rolexes, watches, especially how they've almost become this investment tool. Right now, there's also been this evolution with lab-grown diamonds versus natural stones, which we're going to talk about today. But also, and where it really ties together is kind of the change of how much real estate, especially in the commercial world, has been changing, right? So you talk about flea market, brick and mortar, and now we're going to talk about this experiential kind of business model that you're building, which is changing so much. The whole traditional brick and mortar has really changed, which so anybody listening, saying what's this, where's the correlation here, that's what we're going to get into. So again, thank you for being here. And now, so Casal Jewelers, tell us what do you guys do now? Tell us about your locations.
Yeah, that's great. So in 2009, we purchased Casal Jewelers, and I left my city job where I worked for Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, the merger, the mortgage years, right? But the mortgage crisis came in at the right time to buy a jewelry business, right? And we purchased the business from Dominick Ciccarelli at the time, and we shut down our brick and mortar where we had, and we bought the property, the building, and owned everything as far as the business goes with him. The business wasn't doing well, which I appreciated now. Back then, not so much, but today I do, because at the end of the day, I was able to build it the way I wanted to and build it my way rather than take on somebody else's way of doing it. His thing was a rocker. If you remember that back in the day, that was the Dominick Ciccarelli way. Mine's not rocker. Mine's just a truly unique experience and service that really goes the extra mile for our customers. And we were able to really get involved and do things differently, and I was able to build it the way I wanted to when I took over. And you bought the real estate, and we own the building.
So big trend, constant thing we hear about, and what people are saying that they really want to do more of is trying to own the asset where you can, especially to withstand bad times. Right. And sometimes these rents can become tremendous, especially in prominent locations. Yeah,
100%. Well, it was a great time too, because in 2009, we were supposed to close in 2008. But Obama came in and locked up all the funds. So the Chase banker walked in and said, "Sorry guys, we have no funds." So that was November of 2008, and we had to wait until August of 2009. And at that point, there was all this benefit to buying property and buying businesses and getting involved, so that we got all these credits and all this other stuff. So it really worked to our advantage, actually, at the end of the day, which is really cool.
Buying the asset where you're at is definitely beneficial once you're in a long-term lease. You establish the business, it's a successful location, you're doing well, your lease expires, and now the landlord has some leverage over you to really raise the rent. Right? There's no rent control trigger in the commercial space.
Right.
For now.
Yeah. And I know a bunch of people that had very successful businesses that were forced to relocate because the landlord wouldn't play nice in the sandbox. So, owning the asset is definitely a big thing.
Yeah.
So I know a year or two ago, you kind of transitioned based on the trend of having a store full of merchandise, hundreds of thousands of dollars of merchandise, to opening a store with no merchandise.
Yes.
So let's talk about that transition and the night and day comparisons to having a store with no merchandise, because when you first explained to me, I didn't fully understand.
Yeah, and nobody did. We sat at a table, there was 10 of us, I think, right? And everybody looked at me like there was something wrong with me. I guess the biggest liability in our business and the biggest asset is inventory. In order for me to sell something, I have to have something. And then if I sell something, I have to buy something to replace that one thing, right? Makes sense? Yeah. So there's a constant revolving door of money coming in and money coming out. And the joke in the jewelry industry is that once you sell, that's when you really see the value, right, of the business. But I didn't want to do that. And throughout COVID years, when I wasn't able to be at the store as much, I was grateful enough that my two boys made it to the World Series with baseball. I traveled for 3 months, traveled the country. I didn't go to work. My staff said, "Don't worry about it. We got you." And then I got back in September, and then I have 5 people in my family. So we had COVID. That's 50 days of quarantine between 5 of us, right? Up until Christmas. And we had our best year yet, right? Without me there for 6 months. So it enabled me to give an idea that I was thinking of, giving it a try and giving it a shot, of building this concierge type service that doesn't have jewelry that you can visually see, but at the same time, it has models of everything that you would want. So the bridal business has really changed and transformed now, right? There's no surprise anymore, right? The surprise is the proposal. The surprise isn't the ring, right? The guy comes in and he shows me the phone. That's number one. It's there. The guy then comes with the girl or whoever. They come together, right? And they show the phone, right? This is what we want, right? So I actually prepare for appointments by building out models of rings that people want, because they never want what's in your case. So what's sitting there always needs to be customized anyway. So why am I buying this?
That's a good point.
Right? Then when this needs to be customized. So if I'm turning things around in a week to 10 days, right? Because we're doing everything here.
Yeah.
I mean, people getting their ring the way they want it, right? Instead of taking the ring that 50 million people tried on, that the jeweler is so happy to sell and make his money back finally on this ring that's been sitting there for 5 years, I'm designing that ring and I have a model of something similar in store. So we provide you renderings. We give you these really cool design files that you get. We print you a wax model, and then you go diamond shopping while we're in our store, right? And I bring in what you need. I don't have excess because I don't want the inventory, right? I bring in what you need for our appointment, so I prepare. It's good. It's actually nice because with appointments, you know when they're coming, you know why they're coming, and you prepare and you make it a great experience so that when they come in, they're like, wow, you know, this is so different than anything we have ever experienced. And once you get that wow factor, it definitely does.
So they basically call and say, hey, I'm looking for an engagement ring and I want it to be this shape. And you start kind of there.
Well, they book online, have an online scheduler.
And wow, so you have that too.
Yeah, I built it right. So I built it right. So I have 2 schedulers, Red Bank, Staten Island. They book an appointment. They get a text message from me. Thank you for booking with us. It's basically, we look forward to designing your engagement ring. And I have a series of questions that helps me prepare for the appointment.
How often do you see, I mean, for me, right, I like to be traditional in ways. I mean, my wife it was a total surprise for her, you know, got on the knee, you know, and, but it seems like that's becoming very common where the girl actually, you know, woman will actually come and pick out too, right? Yes. So how often do you see that?
All the time.
Is it like half and half? Like
no, it's like 80, 90%.
That the
100%. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. The surprise is the proposal. The surprise isn't the ring anymore.
So she knows she has the ring. She already picked it out. It's in your pocket.
Really?
The surprise is when you actually give it to her.
Yeah, when you
really.
Well, not necessarily in the pocket because I don't. You know, now everybody knows it's 7 to 10 days on a turnaround. But you know, sometimes the guy could wait. I had a guy wait a year. He designed it. He waited a year. He just didn't want to do it yet. He had a plan, so he waited a year.
Wow.
But he knew the ring she wanted, and I guess he waited the year out and just picked up his ring, and he's ready to go, right? So like, I mean, everybody's different. I mean, I actually had a girl come in and pick up her ring once. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "I'm here to pick up the ring." I said, "Really?" I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I said, "You know, where's so and so?" I don't want to mention names, but where's so and so? Oh, he's in the car. He's waiting. We're going upstate. I said, "Oh, that's good." I said, "Do you want me to show you the ring?" She goes, "Sure." She took it. She put it on. She goes, "Listen, I'm 8 months pregnant. What the blank am I doing here?" Right. And basically walked out of the store. I said, "Good luck." I never saw her again. That was years ago. Right. So I'm hoping they're happy. Right. They have a child now, I'm sure. And everything's good. Right. But that's an interesting story. I mean, it's a different world now. So the traditional is gone. The girl or the partner, whoever, is driving what they want. And it all starts with showing a picture.
So like, okay, so once I schedule, I say that I want roughly this image and this size, this color, whatever it might be. So when they show up, you actually have a tray of those similar diamonds. So you go to the diamond district, or like, where do you get those?
I have sources that I deal with. I don't even go to the diamond district anymore.
Right.
I have people in California, I have people in New York.
And they ship the diamonds
ship them to us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have in my New York location, so I have a ton of inventory there.
Yeah.
So if anything, I have my manager, Karen, actually, she'll ship me over stuff, or I'll just drive to Staten Island, take care of some work, and prepare for my appointments.
You'd be surprised how many diamonds are shipped through the mail.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Now, are you given option versus natural lab grown, or are you like, is your
that's one of my
primarily
questions.
Lab grown?
Oh, no. It's my question. I'm not selling it. I'm just telling you the difference, really. I don't sell. I don't tell. I'm like, here, there's option A and there's option B. Based on your budget, whatever that happens to be, you know, and we kind of get to that, where your budget wants to be. But these people know. They know. They tell me now. There's no secret. I want a lab grown. I want a 3-carat this. I want a this, and this, and I want to spend X.
Do you feel like the stigma is gone about? There was always this thing, right, that it's fake, or which is not. Which is, I think you actually had compared something I thought was really
children.
Great. It was like natural birth versus
natural
IVF,
in vitro.
I thought that's a great way to explain it.
It is a good one. Yeah.
It's a great way to explain it.
So the good way of understanding these diamonds is like having a child, right? You either have a natural birth or you have in vitro. They're both children, right? You're not going to say this is my in vitro child and my natural child, right? Because you'll scar a kid, right? At the same but there's no difference of saying, guess which kid is natural and which one's in vitro, right? Like, what are you going to do, right? Like, there's no way of us telling. There's no way of anyone telling other than a chemical that's now put on them. So the beep test that those guys do on TikTok, you know, that whole thing with people beeping diamonds, labs are beeping diamonds because they're 100% the same. Scientifically, beyond me, right? How they do it with immense pressure, but they bring it back to form, recut them, repolish them, certify them in it. They're still bright and beautiful.
Just like, I mean, if you had an in vitro baby compared to a natural born baby, right? The only way you know is go back to like the medical records, right? So the only way to find out the lab grown diamond is there's like a really small insignia on the diamond that you see with a microscope, right?
The same way that like a GIA thing would be.
Natural diamonds also have an inscription too.
So those of you that are watching that don't know what a lab diamond is compared to natural? Just give a brief.
Yeah, sure, of course. So diamonds cut diamonds, right? And diamonds, I visited a diamond mine in Canada. I toured the world with De Beers, learning about diamonds. So I know everything about it. So this could be a 20-minute thing. I'll trim it down. But diamonds cut diamonds, and what's left is diamond material, right? It's been sitting there for 130 plus years. They've been repurposing it for drill bits, diamond drill bits, saw blades, and other things, right? So many years ago, De Beers decided, let's come up with a way to use this material with immense pressure, bring it back to form and regrow it in a lab, right? So they did it. The intention was not on reselling it. The intention was to say to the diamond cutters today, say, hey, we found another way of testing synthetics. Unfortunately, the material test or the beep test doesn't work any longer. So now you have to buy this new machine that's $250,000, right? So De Beers did it more for the financial wealth of it, to be able to provide this new machine and say, now this is how we're going to do it. It's a light that shines of green for natural and red for lab. So the people that are watching this, they showed how they made the diamonds. They explained everything. They're like, we could do this. And they did it. Took them years to figure it out. The machine, De Beers publicized everything and did it. So when we went to Vegas, we go to a jewelry show every year. De Beers had to sit down with us as partners and stuff and forbid us to even mention it. Don't even make mention of this on your website. This is not real. This is not this. Meanwhile, they're the ones I called it a lab-grown diamond, not a diamond, right? You write that down, diamond. So like, not a diamond, it's a diamond, right? And ultimately, they're the ones that brought it into market, and they're the reason why this happened. But they also forbid us to even mention it. So I was totally against it until August. I got a phone call of 2021, I think it was, or whatever it was, and they say, hey, we're now in the market with lab-grown diamonds, company Lightbox, but we're making them, we're actually making them differently. We're doing them all flawless or all this and that. I said, let me ask you a question, because I just saw you a few months ago and you told me don't even get involved with it. Were you prepping to kind of launch this brand so that now you can try to corner the market? Yes.
Wow. So
I was like, okay, well, thanks for being honest. I'm good for now. Right. I'm going to explore this because I don't understand it much, because I refused to get involved in the beginning. But now let me explore. I did my homework. I figured it out. And scientifically, it's all the same. The one thing the jewelers have, and this is what people, the natural people, right, that want to make their money, and it's fine, it's totally true, is that we just don't know the value in the future. Right. That's a true fact. Right. But if I can save you $15,000 on a 2-carat diamond today, would you like this to be saved now instead of looking at my crystal ball and hoping that maybe my diamond will gain value? Because if your jeweler screws you and overcharges you for this 2-carat diamond, it could be 100 years before you're making money. Right. But so what are we doing here?
Let's play that out too for fun, right?
For fun.
Let's play that out, right? Because I think it's fair to have this argument.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, it's going to have no value, right? Okay. I can name a lot of people that have gotten divorced, right? So for argument's sake, somebody buys a 2.5 carat round ring that's, relatively, respectable color, etc.
Yeah.
40,000 in today?
Yeah, let's say about 40. That's fair. 30 to 40. Depending.
Somebody that you sold that ring to for 40,000 6 years ago, they're now divorced, and they come to you, if they even get the ring back, right? Or the woman or partner goes and comes to you.
Yeah.
What's that ring? What are you going to give that person?
It's all based on a rap sheet.
But it's not 40,000.
Probably more like half. But I don't buy it back. To be honest with you, I don't want to get involved. It's like, but I have people that will buy back, and I do price around, and it's generally half.
So it's half.
They're taking back half. So now you lost 20 on the end instead of spending
half in the beginning.
5,000 or 6,000 on a 2.5, right? Now you're spending 40, right? and where are you now? Right?
So that $40,000 ring that is lab grown, that has all the same qualifications, if not better, is how much roughly?
6 or 7.
7,000, right?
What
so
the
let's
ring,
just say maybe it becomes worth 2,000, 1,500. Think of that. It's the same concept roughly, and now that extra, whatever it is, $20,000 plus you could have been pay for your wedding, buy some real estate, buy a house, put something down,
invest it,
and no one ever knows the difference anyway. So someone would actually have to come to you and say, "Is that a lab grown ring, right?" So I would argue that it might be crazy to buy a natural stone now.
The problem is this: people that can't afford the $40,000 natural 2.5 carat are going to spend $7,000 for the lab grown. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a vast majority of the population now walking around with rings that everyone knows they can't afford. And that's going to devalue the lab
that's
grown
what's
diamond.
happening, and I think that's a mistake. Is
Well,
some people
but the natural market now. So I actually looked and I did a post on this, but 95% of the diamonds sold last year were lab. So what's happening to the natural diamond market? One of my vendors was down over 10 million going into October last year. 10 million in the natural market. It's perspective now. Because look, a guy has a budget, girl, whatever you are, right? You have a budget, right? You want to spend $7,000, so you're gonna get a 1 carat diamond or you're gonna get a 2.5. Right. What do you want? Like, it's up to you. So now they get, of course, they say, let me get the 2.5 instead of getting a 1. So the halos, remember those things?
Yeah.
So people would get halos to make the diamonds look bigger. Halos are gone.
So just so I understand this properly,
you're right. I don't see halos ever anymore.
No, but people didn't complain about that.
Right.
Like, you get a 1 carat diamond, but you pop a halo that makes it look like a 2.5 instead.
So is it true? I might have missed this earlier. The lab grown diamond is made from the dust and the particles of the natural.
Yes.
It's 100% real.
So diamonds are made with pressure. So
it's not even a synthetic.
Diamonds are made with pressure. The material is then pressure back together and grown in a lab.
Right. So I guess my question is, if the natural diamond market is so far down, where are they getting the scraps to make the synthetic?
130 years.
Lab grown. I'm sorry.
130 plus years of capturing.
Right.
Wow. And there's an argument to say environmentally,
it's safer.
Morally,
not to mention
culturally,
blood diamonds, all these things you don't know.
Exactly. So it's almost
people are doing studs. I mean, you get 2 carat studs for under $2,000, right? I mean, it's like as opposed to 8. I mean, people are doing tennis bracelets, necklaces. I mean,
so how many carats am I getting for a $40,000 lab grown? If I have that same budget,
I think that's the problem. Is that people are now like
13 to 15.
What you say,
people excess.
Yeah.
They're wearing 5 carat rings, which look ridiculous, right? And it's like, come on, somebody didn't pay. You didn't go and buy a 5 carat ring. Or if you did, you're an idiot because you spent $100,000 on a ring. So I don't know.
But what are they supposed to?
You don't have a house yet.
Question, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to say, all right, instead of doing a 5 carat, give me a carat and a quarter, and just because. I mean, but what would you do? I mean, like if you're the $7,000 guy, you let her make the decision. She says, I'll take the 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, it's up to them. I don't tell anybody anything. I just share.
I'm not a jewelry guy. I don't even wear watches. You guys know this.
Yeah.
To me, I invest every dollar I make into something that's gonna, grow my my family's wealth. I think a diamond size should be appropriate to the proportion of the person's hand or finger, right? But most of the world doesn't think that. Everyone thinks, gaudier or bigger the better. Who's showing off?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to really devalue at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, it was that thing. There was that 3-month thing. What was it from The Office? 3-year salary.
3 year salary. Yeah. Take 3 year salary. I'm in Staten Island and Red Bank. I'll see you there. 3 months. 3 years it was. Yeah, they say 3 months. 3 years. I don't even know. I don't know. Some jeweler messed around. 3 years.
That's what they used to say.
That's great.
But I mean, I think you should use that money. I mean, I have never, ever, ever. I have heard some amazing stories of people making money on wine, cars, watches. I have literally never heard anybody tell a story of making a ton of money on a diamond.
No,
ever.
No. There's not a. It's not a huge. I mean, people, unfortunately, if they make their margins, which some people make real good margins because of their whatever they charge, overcharging. I don't look at it that way. I kind of I'm reasonable. But if people making double margins and 2.5 times margin on this diamond, that thing's going to take 100+ years. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, and unfortunately now a lot of these people who are now doing the lab market are taking their natural market business and just bringing it down to a level where they could refund their lab business. Right. So they're bringing prices down to a level that's reasonable now on that end, but it's only a handful of people that are doing it. So these other people that aren't involved in the web, they're sitting on merchandise that because they're just against it, right? Because at the end of the day, people say, oh, there's workers there, there's this. When I visited the mine, you see firsthand what they have to do. They have to build a facility where people live. There's barracks, there's food, there's duty that they pay, there's rebuild 4 times what they break down, right? They have to pay the government every single time they transport. I was in Canada. Canada went to Belgium, to London, to New York, right? I mean, these are all times you have to pay tax on this stuff.
Yeah.
So this little diamond, believe it or not, yes, it's difficult to mine and all that other stuff, but there's so much of an expense on top of it throughout the journey of a diamond that's all gone now, because now you just have the remaining, right? And they're taking the remaining and they're doing something to bring it back with pressure to form.
Yeah.
So that's That's
I
it.
think there's a
Really,
huge
it's interesting.
argument on both sides. It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah.
I have
I'm
some
good on
friends
both.
that are very wealthy, generationally wealthy, and this is where I think the lab diamond probably falls apart. Is that I know people that the grandparents gave like vintage clothing, bags, jewelry to the mother.
Yeah.
And then now they're giving it to their daughter, let's just say the granddaughter
Yeah.
of the grandmother, right? And that's where I think the value of like the old school diamonds, the whatever it might be, bags, Birkins,
right,
like
right.
when you have a legacy of generational wealth, I think that's where the lab diamonds probably fall to the side, and like you have in that original natural
Right.
stone. But you're right, that's like 5% of the world.
And
I mean,
things have changed. Things
you
Either
know,
way, it
changed.
doesn't
Yeah.
mean that it's worth money.
more than half of relationships end in divorce. And what happens to those diamonds?
58% now.
58.
58.
Wow,
That's interesting. I was listening to a sermon actually, and it was
That's crazy.
it was Billy Graham actually, and it was in the 70s, and he mentioned, he's like, 25% of marriages are getting divorced. That was in the 70s. So I'm like 40 years later, up to 58%. That's
Yeah.
2.5 times that amount, right? Or give or take. So it's interesting.
And then think about all the people that choose not to get married.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people that just don't want to get married. They're just living their life.
Right. But there's also there's a different vibe too, where there's a lot of self purchases made now. So women are coming in buying it for themselves, spending
Right.
your money and,
Right.
Good
their
for
own
them.
money.
Yeah.
And it's good for our industry, right?
Yeah.
Where someone wants to come in and spend X and buy themselves something and have something designed. And that's kind of, that's why I love Red Bank, because it's not your traditional buy this from a case. It's like, hey, I want a combination of that, and this. Can you sketch it and make it for me? And they got to see it rendered.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's a great process.
You have a sample of what a lab diamond looks like?
Oh yeah, I do actually.
So natural stones, lab grown.
Wow. So
Let us-
This is a 6 carat F color VS1 round, of course. Beautiful diamond. I mean,
what's your percentage of engagement rings that are natural compared to lab grown now? That you sold like last year?
Last year was 95%.
90%,
95.
lab.
Lab.
And where is the actual lab? Like where are they being made?
I don't know. They're being vendors.
Like you have vendors, right?
Diamond
But
reps
they're
that we
here
deal with.
locally, like they're not
Locally.
overseas.
Some are overseas.
Right.
Most are local though. I don't buy from overseas. I stay local.
Sorry. Oh, actually, that bears the question. So, diamonds, they say don't scratch. They don't do, right? Is that all the same properties here?
Yeah, all the same properties. 100%. That's the interesting part. Yes, that's a good question actually. 100% the same. It's not even 99.9. I was looking for the 0.1%. But if any of those retailers are going to tell you the one thing is the value.
This is a
That's
6
it.
carat ring?
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 6 carat ring, certainly a lot more affordable than a natural stone.
And this is what it's going to go inside of the wax model of your ring. Which is
Love
pretty
everybody.
Cool. Kind of cool.
Let us know what you
Very
think. We'd love to see some comments on whether you think that people should buy lab grown, or do you think you should on other jewelry that isn't a ring, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear people's thoughts on that.
Yeah,
So-
me too. I'd love to answer any questions people have too.
Yeah.
So if you comment, I'll be sure to follow up and answer as well.
How many jewelers, like your peers, went into this space of lab grown diamonds?
In the beginning, it was, I would say half and half, right? Like it was. And then now we're starting to hear more and more that, we first went by X jeweler, right? Competitor of ours, right? And now, he showed us this lab diamond,
Right.
after he gave me crap about it once.
How long you in the lab game?
I guess it's been like 3 years, I would say.
Right.
And
year one, what was the percentage compared to now?
it was small. I didn't know
Wow.
people
They've become a lot more.
and
the
people didn't
knowledge
know,
has
and-
been a lot harder.
yeah, and now people are asking for it. It's a different vibe now.
I also think the new generation buying these rings, is it the millennial generation
Yes.
now? I mean, they definitely spend their money differently. I don't see them spending money like our generation maybe spent money.
Even so, I mean, I got engaged in 2018. I had never even heard of a lab grown diamond at that time.
Yeah. No,
Right.
Never.
I didn't either. I probably heard mentioned, but I was like, what the heck is that?
Right.
But the thing is that again, it's called a diamond, right? So it's not called anything else. And De
You're
Beers
right.
did it. De
Right.
Beers called it a diamond, not me, not anybody else, right? They could have called it anything. It's called a moissanite, which is a man-made diamond, right? Or man-made gem, they call it, whatever. That's similar in a sense.
Mhm.
This they called a diamond, but lab grown. Prefacing it with that, so that there is a difference.
They need
but
to
it's
for
the
their
origin.
own their own value.
Yes, I mean at this point they really hurt a lot of people. Unfortunately, it's sad, but
Right.
at this point it is what it is. It's either you ride and go with what works, or provide both options and just keep going.
100%.
Which is what we're doing.
Right. Which, getting back to the business side of it, right, and especially to the retail real estate side, you have been someone that's evolved so much. during COVID, you've always been super active on social media, but you've done some amazing things,
Thank
super philanthropic. Casale Jewelers has an amazing reputation. You guys have great lines you carry. So now you've switched completely from a real estate perspective. Now this model in Red Bank, which is completely experiential, appointment only, which I'm seeing on a lot of businesses now, especially in jewelry. I have another person I'm dealing with that's doing appointment only in a retail shopping center, which is unique. Which landlords even are pushing back, or they want some explanation, but I think they're starting to understand. So why that change? Obviously, Casale Jewelers is completely operating. You still carry all the lines you once did. Why the change, and what? Yeah, ultimately, why the change?
Why? I wanted to give it a shot. We're very inventory rich in Staten Island, and my team basically vowed that they're there to support us throughout this whole process, and for me to go and give this a shot. This was my vision of what I thought could be. And I went and I tried to look around and, look at different models of what people were doing. And nobody's really doing it this way. I was like, let me just try this. You could run through the city and run through was that Adam Sandler movie with the Uncut Gems? That's that's real. Like I not that I've experienced what he did, but that running through those little shops in the middle of nowhere and everything else, that's real stuff, right? By the way, he was really running. So that's kind of the idea of privacy, but that not like that. This is very, very elegant, very comfortable. So I had a guy sitting down. He's like, "This is Zen-like. I love being here." He didn't want to leave, right?
It's not the chaos. You come in, you're waiting in line to be seen.
No, it's me and you. It's me and you. That's it. Nobody else is walking in.
So then how do people know how to find you? Like, what are you doing? Because obviously you're in a building. You're in an office building, right? I've been there.
Yeah.
You have this, 30 by 30 store, which is beautifully decorated, but you really only go there when you have an appointment.
Yeah, I do.
So there's nobody walking by seeing the gems saying, "Oh, I got to come back later when the store's open," right?
Right, yeah.
So what's driving the traffic? Is it completely social media based marketing?
It's everything. It's people from Staten Island that know us that now moved to New Jersey, right? So the residents there, they see the name. We publicized it as much as possible, had write-ups about us, growing. And that's been pretty positive too. And word of mouth, it just seems to be, that's how we built Staten Island. You just do the right thing. Like, look, if you're in business, whatever you're doing, just do the right thing, right? Like, always be your best, right? And again, we're gonna fail, but at the end of the day, like, you make right for your fail, right? And you just try to correct it, and you move on, and you learn from your mistakes, but always value everyone. And that's just how we've operated. And my manager, you've known her forever. Karen, I mean, she's the best. Like, I mean, there's nobody in the world that's better than her. Like, she's the most loving,
probably
caring.
know her 30 years.
Yeah, more than me. I mean, and that's kind of part of the reason why you came into us. Was Karen, right? We met other ways, but my manager who came in, 14 years ago, because we're celebrating 15 years this year, is amazing. And she said, "Go, give it a shot. I got you." I mean, who would say that? Like, and literally mean it, like, like, and manage everything. And I just wanted to, I felt like I love Red Bank area. I love the Staten Island community. I love the tight knit group of networkers and networking that goes on over there. And I really analyzed the market, and I saw myself as saying, this is something we need. There are people who make careers out of just working within the wedding business, right? So I service and I design your engagement ring. Generally, you'll come back to me for wedding bands because I model that out too. And then I'm your jeweler for life, right? Like, and if I do the right thing, right? And which I do. So that's the model. I don't have any staff there. It's me. I do spend a lot of time there, though. I'm spending my full time now there because I still have to support Staten Island. I have to do all the marketing work that I do, and I'm a marketer. That's what I do. I have fun. I do my crazy, stupid videos that people are intrigued by, right? And it drives business. People say, "I saw your video. I saw this. Oh, yeah, I didn't know you do this." Like, and they see me with my kids, and it's just, that's who I am. This is me. Like, so I don't put a facade up and try to be something I'm not. You see these other guys on TikTok and other things negotiating this and taking $4,000 over like, just, that's not me. Like, here's my price. I'm being fair to you, not because you're asking me to be fair. I'm being fair to you because that's the right thing to do. Like, right? If I can come down $4,000 on this and I offer you $4,000 more, then I'm screwing you and I'm giving you the better deal because you asked me to. That's just wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like, when you go to Yankee Stadium, I think of it this way, right? Well, I'm a Met fan. When I go to Citi Field, you buy a bottle of water for $12. Same bottle of water is $1 somewhere else, but it's the same bottle of water, right? Like you don't have to do that. I mean, we're not like that. So I like multiples. I like the bridal business for us, and a lot of jewelers go into, like you guys mentioned, the Rolex watches, the chains, and the big link bracelets and all this stuff, iced out stuff. I'll do that, but I don't. That's not my specialty. Like I like the bridal business
Right.
because once they get that ring and they're like, wow, look at this thing. Like, what do? They post it everywhere. They tell everybody about us. They want to know where you got it from,
Yeah.
right? And it becomes now their jeweler,
Oh,
right?
it's great.
So
It's
pretty cool.
personal.
It's a cool market.
I think
That's what Red Bank kind of is. It's a bridal shop with the concierge service of, hey, I need a gift. I needed this. You have me. I'm getting you that gift, and that's the difference.
Speaking of Karen, I mean, listen, we all know she's a super hard worker.
Yeah.
She's very good at what she does. She's in the trenches with you,
Yeah.
you know, trying to get the job done. Tell us an interesting story of something that went down in the jewelry business.
Yes. So there's always good stories. I guess this is one of my favorite, actually. It all worked out in the end. That's why. So a customer came in and I was away. I went away to Florida with my family. And I said, Kat, I need this time with my family. Just please don't bother me unless you need me. Right. Please don't call. We're going away for a week. We're going to Florida. So I come back into the airport and I'm
coming home.
And I'm in baggage claim. So now I call to work. Right. And my security guard answers and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Where's Karen? Oh, she's not here. She's not here. Well, where did she go? Like, she didn't tell you? I said, no, she didn't tell me. What's going on? Is everything okay? Like, it's odd for her not to be there with me, not there, right? Like, because she was supposed to be there. She goes, I'll call you right back. I got to call her, right? So I hang up. So I give her a call back, give Karen a call. She doesn't answer, right? Call back to the store. What is going on? She goes, she's on her way to Cabo San Lucas. I said, oh, that's really nice. Like, I mean, she leaves me during the thing. I'm like, was something wrong? Is something happened? Yeah, so-and-so's ring never showed up. Unfortunately, got held up in shipment, and he was proposing in Cabo San Lucas, and she's on her way there to deliver the ring.
Wow.
I was like, wow. I said, okay. I said, hold on. She's calling me right now. Right. So I go, hello. Right. I'm like, where are you? I'm like, she's like, I'm in Terminal B. I'm going through customs. I said, I'm in C. I'm like, you should have called me. I would have came with you. I'm like, I would have circled back around and told my family to go home. I would have came. She's like, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. I'm with my brother-in-law. I'm taking a flight now. It's a morning flight. I'm meeting him on the beach. I staying at a hotel for a day, and I'll be red-eyeing home, and I'll see you tomorrow at work.
Wow.
I said, Kat, thank you. I said, this is crazy. I said, are you sure? Yes, it's already done. I'll see you tomorrow. I said, listen, you don't have to see me tomorrow. Take the day off. She goes, no, I'm coming to work tomorrow. I got work to do. Needless to say, went to Cabo San Lucas. They met on the beach. Of course, he was a little frustrated at the time, but relieved in the fact that he had the perfect proposal that he wanted and had his ring delivered by my store manager. While she spent the day on
unbelievable.
Spent the day on the beach. She said she got to dip her feet in the water and stuff.
Pretty amazing.
Pretty cool. Dedication, amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Employee loyalty there, man. That's
100%.
amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Great story.
So what happened to the ring?
It just got held
Because
up.
obviously she brought a different ring.
No,
he just got held up in shipping.
It got held up in shipping. She ran to the FedEx center to go get it.
Okay.
Right?
I'm
she
sorry.
went and got it. No, it's okay. And then she went back to my store to have my jeweler set it because it was a custom ring.
Right.
And then went to the airport directly to fly out.
I get it. I get it now. I
and
thought maybe it was in air somewhere, just delayed.
No, she was able to get it. Yeah,
Okay.
She was able to get it, which is insane. Absolutely insane. And if I would have known that when I was away, it would have ruined everything.
Sure.
Right? It would have ruined everything.
Yeah.
But she didn't even call me. She didn't let me know. She dealt with the anguish.
That's
and
an unbelievable
stress.
story.
Yeah, you know what? It just shows her commitment and appreciation I have for her. Is just
It really does, and it also just talks about just the ultimate trend, and just it always stands true that loyalty to your employees, to your staff, to your customers, and also just being authentic, consistent, and just always being the same person regardless. I think is just absolutely critical.
100%.
And it says something about you because she knows what would Cory have done if he was here. He would have bought that flight and shot over.
Yeah, I would have.
So it was probably a no-brainer for her to make that decision. Like I'm sitting here thinking, like, wow, is that the right thing to do? But she's like, oh, that's what Cory would have done. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Boom.
she
And
did
she didn't even consult with you.
No.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me on my trip.
Right.
I told her, if you need me, apparently she didn't need me, right? She took care of everything herself. So she did it. Amazing. Yeah, amazing woman. I'm grateful for her. It's
amazing. It really is. And just, I just can't get over how much these trends are changing too, man. I think between, the lab grown is just part of it, right? The business itself everything is changing. The wedding business itself, I think, has changed. And I don't know that it's ever coming back the same, in my opinion. I think that the 400 or 500 person weddings are becoming a lot more few and far between.
Yeah, they are.
I got a couple friends with, they could certainly afford it and either eloped or just did very small weddings and just didn't want it after the fact. And
cocktail
people
parties
just wanted things more intimate, more personal. And it's just, I think that's here to stay.
Yeah.
People, I think, are being much more wise with how they spend their money. Back to the millennial generation, right?
Yeah.
They don't need the show.
Right.
You know, they're not spending money on these fancy houses and cars. They live in much more smaller, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, they just want an intimate party with the people I really care about. I don't care about my mom's best friend coming who I haven't seen in 20 years,
Right.
and the
100%.
distant cousin who I haven't seen in 30 years being there. I don't.
Right.
Those obligations don't need to be fulfilled anymore.
Agreed.
So yeah, and on the real estate end, you know, having a super large retail store to
Yeah.
now this little boutique,
Right.
and without saying, I mean, I'm sure you're making more at a little 30 by 30 footprint with no inventory than you did with the bigger space with all the inventory.
Right. Because it's expense. It's pretty much expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
I built out every model of every ring that you could possibly think of, and then as I build out more, I just build out more models.
Right.
Like, why should I sell you this when I could design you this and keep this still as my model, right?
Right.
It's there. It's already expensed out and paid for.
Right.
Which expenses is something that, you know, guys know in business. It destroys businesses, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how to manage your expenses. This is an expense-free business.
Which is right. Anybody
Which
going
is
back to the,
huge.
I would only buy a natural stone. Okay, well, it's the same thing as buying a water bottle at Yankee
Yeah,
Stadium.
yeah.
Because all those channels it had to go through, and you're never making that money back. So,
And look, people are still doing it, and that's up to them.
Right.
I'm just here to tell. Again,
Yeah.
this is the difference. It's up to you. But they know. They
And
know
this
now.
this plastic ring that you designed in your store in front of the people,
Yes,
you print right there live in your store.
I have a 3D printer that prints that ring.
So they literally design this right there in front of you.
You have
You
to
print
try
it,
it on,
and
they
they leave here with
size.
this.
They leave with that on their finger.
Wow.
They wear it. It's actually to size, to scale, to everything.
that's really cool.
It's crazy. It's
A whole
cool.
new world.
It's a whole
gentlemen.
new world. Yeah.
Wow.
But listen, I'm grateful for Red Bank. Grateful for you guys. Honestly, we spoke about this, right?
Yes.
I came to you guys.
Yes.
It was January. It was January right after Christmas, and I said I told you exactly what it was, and we had this group, this mastermind group that we were all part of, and with your help and guidance, I do it. I give it a shot, and we
Yeah.
did it. So appreciate the advice, appreciate the group, and I thanked you guys.
Yeah,
Last
proud of
year.
you, man.
Wish
Yeah,
all
it's
the-
awesome.
yeah,
It
wish you all
was
the
interesting.
success
I
in the
appreciate you
world.
guys.
Love
Yeah,
that
it's
you
good stuff. Yeah.
Constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And, thank you, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I
It's a great
appreciate you guys
episode.
too. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.